everybody, and welcome back to the program. You just heard Adrian a moment ago during SportsCenter here at the top of the hour. We're with you for 2 hours today. Alberto Dueta is going to be joining us momentarily. Oh, I saw that. I'm happy, really happy, that Alberto went to the dollar store and picked up a ton of pens. What is that, like four packs? Is that what it is?
He maybe even went to Sam's, Steve.
You think so?
Maybe so.
Is it possible that he bought these from a box store versus a dollar store? Maybe so.
Possibly, or maybe he shoplifted them. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, my God. That would be the worst. That is like, I wouldn't even go there, and you just did, man. And he doesn't even hear it because he's in with the boss right now.
That's not fair. I'll say it when he's over here as well. But for Alberto, Steve, the problem is, look, like, I appreciate him getting his pens. We have, like, stacks and stacks of these up front, like with our front receptionist, Anne, who delivers these. If we ever ask for pens, she's got 1 million of them. So, Alberto, he may have just got these from her and claimed they were from him. So, yeah, he may have said, hey, we need more pens on the other side of the building.
Isn't it sad that whenever I see a stray pen in the studio, the first thing I do now is I'm starting to inspect it all the way around just to see where the potential bite marks are? Like, this one I know he's bit, because I could see the very front of the pen, and I know that's his. So here, take that. I don't want it. But yeah, that's just the way it is now. That's our new thing. So that's very true. Hey, by the way, thank you for bringing pens to us today. We do appreciate that. That was very nice of you. By the way, did you pick those up at like the dollar store next to the station?
Yeah, $2 a pop. $2 a pop.
Did you pay for them?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Adrian thought you might have shoplifted them.
No,
no, I just was saying we just need to rule this out real quick.
No, I'm not. I'm never big on crime. Never.
There you go. That's good. I would hope not.
Yeah, no.
I mean, you're
not my cup of tea.
You do a lot of crazy things, but crime is not one of them.
No, I live life on the edge, definitely, but not like that.
And when you do get like freebies, it's all legit. Like, you're not doing anything the illegal way.
Yeah, it connects. All about connects. Like, for example, when I got that stuff from Lids. Good stuff at a good discount.
They hooked you up.
He did.
Did anybody hook you up at the dollar store by the station, or did they just?
I was about to hook up a little girl. She had $5.
Yeah.
And she wanted to buy something, and it was over, and she kept changing it to make it less. And I was about to be like, just pay whichever. Let's get going here.
Oh, so in other words, you weren't like doing it to be nice. You were doing it just to speed the line up so you could get done.
A little bit of both, because I did feel bad, because she was like shuffling through candies, like putting them back, and I was like, it's 50. And also, it was $5.57.
Oh.
And she had a 5, and I was like, you're not gonna say just be whatever about 57 cents. Come on.
Where'd you get that Utah polo shirt you're wearing today?
Come on. Goodwill.
Oh,
wow, that's a good find.
By the way, he's looking at me like I should know it's Goodwill. I mean, I didn't know if it was Goodwill or Savers. It does kind of look like a shirt that is probably 20 years old, but it looks like it's in great condition right now. It looks like that shirt is immaculate. What is it like?
Sahara.
It's Sahara?
Yeah.
Oh, then it's probably closer to 25 years old.
Yeah, as soon as I saw the Sahara. My dad used to have those type of shirts
when
he lived in Miami. I said, this has got to come home with me.
The sleeves look great. I love the old school sleeves where they're big and they're kind of, they're comfortable sleeves. I love those.
I'll tell you right now, that shirt is probably circa 01 to 05. That would be my guess.
It's held up well, and the white is still pretty.
Yeah, it looks
pristine.
good. You haven't stained it yet. That's good, man.
Not significant.
No, not at all. It's exactly right. Michael Plundo's back with us as well. Michael, how are you doing? How are things going right now in your world?
Things are going well. I'm starting to pack up as I leave for Lubbock on August 20th. So unfortunately, I'll be gone here in a couple of weeks. Sorry, guys. These articles are coming great. You guys should expect the AFC South here shortly.
Thank you.
And I'm working on the AFC North, so very excited for obvious reasons there. And, just, staying afloat here.
Well, you've had a great summer with us, Michael. I'm not going to lie to you. You started doing SportsCenter the day you got back. You've handled things well. You've done some co-hosting on the program. I feel like, as a former intern, you came right in and settled in perfectly.
Absolutely, and that's thanks to you and Adrian, of course, for helping me and showing me the ropes and the way, and I'm very sad that I'll be leaving here in a couple weeks, but I'll definitely be coming around for the holidays, so want to stop by and say hi for sure.
Good, I appreciate that. And whenever you're in town, you're welcome. Like Alberto doesn't even get paid for this; just shows up.
I mean, he lives here. This is his home. This is his home.
It's true. Is it true you've been really coming to the show like since the day you were hired? Because I know you spent a lot of time with Adrian, and I didn't even realize you were here. So is that the case? Like you started coming in, and because Adrian said you've been here for almost a year, and I was thinking a couple months on this show. Have you really been coming by this radio show for like almost a year that I wasn't even aware of that?
Yeah, I think I've probably only missed maybe like 10 times. And it's
since the day you came on board.
Yeah, and it's with things that sometimes things come up, or I had stuff with minor vision I had to do, and so I couldn't come out and stuff like that. But it has been a year. Time's flown by.
Adrian, how did I ignore him for so long and act like he wasn't even with us for the show? I mean, I know he might have been next to you and I didn't see him very well, but how could somebody that has the kind of natural talents and gifts that Alberto possesses, how could I just like make him, a non-member for so long?
I'm happy that he's now. It's weird without him. Like we said this last week, it feels weird without him. We were looking forward to Alberto, but I think like during the early couple months of Alberto's tenure, he was very honest in saying, "Look, guys, like I have experience, but I want to gain more experience in this industry." Humbly came to us with that, and I feel like he's really taken up his own voice. Like he wants his own kind of brand. He has his own style. He has his own way of talking, and I think that it takes some time to find that stuff. So credit to him for hard work.
And I also remember a few months back, you had like one of the worst days ever at the radio station doing something that just went awfully wrong, and you were ready to just pack up and leave and not come back. Am I correct, Adrian? Wasn't it something that he did where he panicked down the stretch and almost it was like a total disaster, and that was like a make it or break it time for his time with us at the radio station? Because he could have easily said, "You know what, guys, I'm not cut out for this, I'm out." Or you could say, "You know what, I'm going to chalk this up as a one-off and come back and be better the next time," and that's exactly what he did.
Right. I mean, I think that, and I think it rings true with everybody here at this station. Like, you have your bumps in the road, but it's how you handle adversity. It's how you move on from it and stuff like that. And, yeah, I mean, I think like all board ops and all producers and all on-air personalities, you have some bad days, and, you go back and you think, well, tomorrow the great part about it is we're on at 4. We're back at it tomorrow. So you can't mess up for too much because you're right back at it tomorrow.
Do you remember that particular incident I'm talking about?
I do. And you know what? You're thinking of one. I could probably think of 3 others very similar to it. It was just a really bad performance. But I said this on the Sports and More podcast with Eddie Morelos. Shout out Eddie Morelos because he helped me get here. The road to a win is littered with L's. And that's how I live my life. You're not going to get anywhere in life without failing a little and then picking yourself up and continuing. So, I mean, we're all going to fail in life, and so it's how you affront those failures that kind of make you who you are.
That's a great point, and I like that. Motivational speaking from Alberto Duete. Everybody, listen, give him a round of applause. That is very nice. Excellent stuff.
Thank you.
All right, so here's what we have for you today on the program. We've got 2 hours with you. Tim Haggerty will join us near the end of the show today. No Jeff Erickson. He's on a mini vacation, so we want to let Jeff enjoy his vacation. So we told Jeff that we'll check back in with him next week, which is not easy, by the way. This is fantasy football time. This is draft central. So if there was ever a time to not have Erickson on the show, this is really not it. We would need Jeff today, but I didn't want to do that to him and make him in the middle of a vacation do a 20-minute radio hit. So Jeff gets the day off. We'll have Jaffe coming up here in 10 minutes, and then guest-free the rest of the show until Haggerty joins us near the end of the program from Sugarland, where we get ready for Game 2 of that 6-game set between your El Paso Chihuahuas and the Sugarland Space Cowboys. Meanwhile, U.S. women basketball, they beat Nigeria 88-74 in the quarters. So now they're going to be punching their ticket to the semis. Excited about that. I mean, I don't know. Is a 14-point win a crushing win? Like, this is the headline on ESPN.com. U.S. women's hoops crushes Nigeria in quarterfinals. And maybe so, because this game really wasn't even that close. This was a 76-58 game after 3, I believe, or 76-48 game after 3. And then Nigeria outscored the U.S. 26-12 in the fourth quarter just to make it respectable. But, yeah, blowout win for the women. I think that ESPN got it right. And now the U.S. is in the semis.
You know, it's that stat that really stood out to me, Steve, was hearing how many games that this team has won together. In fact, when they go up against Australia, not to jinx them or anything, Wednesday it's the game, and that's the semifinal matchup. The U.S. has a chance to win their 60th consecutive win right there on the Team USA side of things. But that's huge, right? I mean, when you win 60 straight games in Olympic basketball, I mean, that just tells you how strong you are in that sport.
No, you're right. The U.S., by the way, is 4-0. They're undefeated. Australia, the aforementioned Australia, they're 3-1 after their 85-67 win over Serbia today. Also, we should note, France is 3-1. They won their quarterfinal matchup over Germany, 84-71, and they are going to meet Belgium, who had a big surprise today, shocking Spain 79-66. Let's be honest, Belgium was 1-2 in this tournament leading up to that big win. Spain was undefeated at 3-0. So Spain putting up only 66 points against Belgium. That is the shocker so far of the women's basketball Olympic round as they are knocked out here in the quarters.
So are we probably looking at U.S. versus France?
How wild would that be?
Yeah, in the gold medal matchup. That's going to be a really good one right there.
I like that. I like the fact that the host country is going to be having an opportunity to play. By the way, if you're listening to us on our app or online, good for you. Thank you for doing that. If not, and you're on the radio and you have a National Weather Service alert, this is the easiest way to listen to us uninterrupted, and that is online on the app. That is what we recommend. We always tell people if you don't want to hear National Weather Service alerts, you can do that as well, and check us out on our free app to download, get all the articles, get the chance to chat with us in real time, have everything you might imagine that you need here on Sports Talk with our free app, downloadable at any of the app stores out there. All right, 505-6009, that is our telephone number as we continue here on Sports Talk. Excited about that. Also, excited about the opportunity. Look, you put this up earlier in the morning, Elijah Klein at Tampa Bay minicamp. How cool is that right now?
That is so neat, man. Gavin Hardison was waived by the Dolphins. Andrew Mayer is on the practice squad for the Dolphins as a long snapper right now. Not a center, but a long snapper. Tells you a lot about his athleticism right there. But it's Elijah Klein who's really shining among the recent former Miners, aside from Jacob Cowing, who is getting a chance to actually make this roster, Steve. I was doing some digging right now, and it actually looks like Elijah Klein's, if things go right, he could be one of the backup tackles, like a second-string tackle for this Bucs team, which could mean he plays, every single Sunday at some capacity. Maybe it's only 3 or 4 snaps, but he'll rotate into the mix.
Here's the clip that Adrian retweeted earlier today.
Man, it's been great. I mean, of course, it's tough because you got so many great players out here, but I feel like it's going really smooth, and luckily I was able to join a franchise that really fosters their rookies and tries to build us all up.
So I know you couldn't hear that real well because of the audio, but he's happy to be there and talks about how the franchise builds up all of their rookies. So that's really the one takeaway from Elijah Klein at Bucs camp. So, yeah, excited about that here. Now, I'm curious, Adrian, is this we're talking about fall camp, right? Not mini camp. This is fall camp.
Correct. Yeah, it's training camp. That's what most of these teams actually call it right here. So the fact that he even made it to this round, Steve, also at this point of, the offseason program for this team is a good thing. He's, there's the final cuts, and that's, going to happen as well. Elijah Klein just trying to make a roster spot. Just, for our listeners out there, there's a signing bonus that everybody gets when they're drafted, which is one thing that Elijah Klein benefited off of after being drafted to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if he's able to make the active roster, his life changes significantly, financially, I should say. And that's a big thing for him. I'll also say this, 53-man roster, if he doesn't actually make the active roster, maybe he makes a practice squad, and he's always a part of this group here moving forward. So all signs point to good things for Elijah Klein here this offseason, and good stuff for this guy who's versatile at his time at UTEP.
Oh, man. We'll talk more about that and everything else going on here during the program today. Plus, Jay Jaffe's next. He'll talk baseball, beer, and we'll talk about the White Sox breaking their 21-game losing streak last night, only to lose again to the A's today. We'll do that right after Charlie One, who has our first of 4 traffic updates. 21 past the hour as we continue here on Sports Talk. 505-6009, our telephone number, 505-6009. You can also follow us on Twitter and X at 600 ESPN El Paso. Check us out on our free app. Download, listen to the show. There are no EAS alerts on the app. And you can also chat with us in real time while you listen to the program. And check out all of our great articles as well on the app. So as we continue here on the show, I mentioned that Jeff Erickson will be off this week. We're attempting to get a hold of Jay Jaffe on the show, talk a little baseball with Jay and some beer at the end of that segment, which is always a lot of fun for us. If you want to weigh in, though, you have lots of ways to get through to the program as we get you up till 6 o'clock, and then it's going to be Chihuahuas baseball with Game 2 of that 6-game set between the Chihuahuas and the Sugarland Space Cowboys. Excited about that. Excited about tomorrow's broadcast when we're back in Las Cruces, and we are coming live for a big tequila unveiling in conjunction with the New Mexico State Athletic Department and Mario Mocha, something we'll have the opportunity to talk about on the show tomorrow. And lots of great guests planned for that program. We have details coming up a little bit later in our program. But first, as promised, Jay Jaffe joins us right now from Fangraphs.com. You can follow Jay on Twitter and X at J_Jaffe and check out all of his great work at Fangraphs as we get started. Jay, welcome back. And I guess good news if you're a White Sox fan. They finally ended the streak last night at 21. The bad news, they've started a new streak, losing again today to the Oakland A's, and still have a shot at having the worst season in modern baseball history over the next couple months.
Yeah, they are not a good ball club, to say the least. And, it's not enough that they were already had a shot at losing 120 games, but with the trades that they sent away, their best pitcher in Eric Fetty and one of their more productive hitters in Tommy Pham, doesn't leave them with a whole lot. And it's not like they've got a booming farm system that has prospects they were dying to make room for. If I understand it correctly, right now they don't have a single player in their lineup that is hitting at a better than league average rate.
Yep.
All things considered, and they still have Garrett Crochet. That gives them a shot every 5 days or so. And I think Jonathan Cannon is an okay starter, but they don't have a whole lot going for them anymore. And really, this is a team that just the roster is just threadbare, and it's this is the start of a much needed rebuilding effort that's overdue.
I feel bad for Miguel Vargas. He finally gets out of Los Angeles, where he was in these timeshares and bouncing back and forth between AAA and the big leagues. And look where he goes for his first opportunity to play. And I don't know if you saw the photo of him. I think it was yesterday or the day before. He looked beyond sad. Like, he looked so depressed that he had been exiled to the White Sox. But the truth is that maybe for him, he can at least have a chance to develop on a team that'll play him every day versus where he was with the Dodgers. Yet he's batting 198. You've got Luis Robert Jr. batting 207. You have also, I think it's, Vaughn's batting 236. Benintendi's 210. Sosa's 224. Sheets is 215. I mean, it's just, oh my God, Jay, it's. I've never seen anything this bad before.
Yeah, it's bad. They've got one. Luis Robert is the only player slugging above 400 that's still left because they traded Paul DeJong, one of their other productive hitters. There's not a lot of firepower there. I do feel badly for Miguel Vargas. He really didn't fit into the Dodgers roster, unfortunately. They tried him in second base last year. They were using him in left field this year. They had better options, and it was a tough place to break in. But you're right, this is an opportunity for him. He's not he's still got a lot of service time remaining. He's exceeded his rookie limits last year, but so he could be in Chicago for a while. But if he shows what he can do, somebody's going to take an interest in him. I don't know that he'll still be around when the White Sox are a good team. So this is a growth opportunity for him, and it's a good hitter's park for him to try to show that he can be a regular corner outfielder if that's what they want, or if a regular third baseman. The opportunities are there.
You wrote about the Braves yesterday at Fangraphs.com, Jay, and injuries are an understatement. They have been completely decimated this season, which is one of the reasons why in the last 3 months they're basically playing 500 baseball. Yet thanks to the Phillies only winning 3 of their last 10 games, they're still only 6.5 back and holding off the Mets in that wild card race by 1.5 games. And I'm interested to see how the NL East finishes up. I'm wondering if the Mets are going to be able to make the postseason. Will they fall short? And will the Braves just kind of limp into the playoffs if they can withstand all these injuries?
Yeah, I'm actually writing about the Diamondbacks for tomorrow here, too. I wrote about the Padres on Friday and the Braves, kind of surveying these wild card contending teams. I'm not going to get to the Mets before I go on vacation here. But it has been very interesting here. I think basically it's going to come down to those 4 teams: Padres, Diamondbacks, Braves, and Mets, and one of them is not going to make it. So we'll see who gets hot here. But the Braves, yeah, they've really been struggling. Not only did they lose Spencer Strider and Ronald Acuna Jr. for the season, but they've been without Ozzie Albies for a long stretch, and Michael Harris II as well.
Yep.
They have not gotten good production at those spots. The outfield has been in complete disarray. Harris will be back probably mid-month, but they still have to find some production elsewhere. One of the big puzzles is what's happened to Matt Olson. He hit 54 homers last year and was one of the top 5 hitters in the league, and this year he's been right around league average, which is just not what you expect from a power-hitting first baseman, and that's really kind of put a drag on the offense. They've had some rotation injuries as well. I wrote about Max Fried coming off the injured list, and Ronaldo Lopez, who's just been absolutely superb going on it. He's got a minor forearm strain. Hopefully he's back soon, but they are going to be testing the limits of their depth here all the way into September because they're not getting Albies back until at least mid-September.
I've often wondered, where would the Braves be this season if it wasn't for Marcell Ozuna?
Yeah, he's had a monster season. It's the big bat in that lineup. They've carried him, though, at times. He had a great 2020 season, and then he kind of fell apart for a couple of years and had a domestic violence suspension, and I think it's good for the Braves that he's come around, but outside of Atlanta, there's not a lot of people who are really excited to root for him anymore. But he's putting up big numbers, no doubt.
More with Jay as we keep things moving here on the show, but first let's go to Michael Plundo back with this bottom of the hour Sports Center update.
Michael Plundo here with your bottom of the hour ESPN Sports Center update. Let's get to it. Tough news if you're a UT fan, as running back CJ Baxter will be undergoing season-ending knee surgery. That's right. Texas running back C.J. Baxter suffered a knee injury in practice Tuesday that will require season-ending surgery, the school announced. An MRI revealed that Baxter injured his lateral and posterior collateral ligaments, the LCL and PCL, sources told ESPN's Pete Thamel. Baxter, the number 30 overall recruit in the 2023 ESPN 300, was expected to be a major contributor for the Longhorns this season. Last year, Baxter became the first true freshman to start a season opener for the Longhorns since Ricky Williams in 1995, before leaving the Rice game with a rib injury after just 5 carries for 38 yards. Let's get out to some Olympic news. This coming in from Noah Lyles as he in the 200-meter final after finishing second. Noah Lyles will race for his second Olympic gold medal despite finishing runner-up Wednesday in the 200-meter semifinal, his first loss at that distance in 3 years. Letsel Tibigo of Botswana finished the heat in 19.5 seconds, beating Lyles by .12, and marking the first time the American has lost a 200 of any kind since he finished third at the Tokyo Games. It opened up a 24-hour period to debate and discuss the meaning of the second-place finish, which still earned Lyles an automatic qualifying spot in Thursday's night final, but could have him running the curve from a less-than-ideal lane. Let's get out to your baseball scoreboard. We got a couple of games here for you in a short amount of time here, as the Diamondbacks and Guardians playing a doubleheader. The Diamondbacks taking the first one 7-3, and they're up in the second one 5-3 in the bottom of the eighth. That's a look at your ESPN SportsCenter update. I'm Michael Plundo.
Appreciate you, Michael. As we continue right now with Jay Jaffe from Fangraphs.com, we'll get his beer pick of the week to wrap things up here in just a little bit. I saw a story about how Major League Baseball is going to be playing a game in Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee. Jay, they've played in cornfields. They've played in minor league parks. Now they are going to play in a 150-seat oval, half-mile oval, and see how that works out for baseball. They've got a year to get this thing rolling, but the Braves and Reds get the opportunity to play at a very famous, well-known NASCAR track.
I guess it's interesting. I don't see the baseball hook to the extent that some of these other one-offs, like the Iowa cornfield or Rickwood, the aspects of that one. I guess I credit baseball for trying something new here. They're looking to expand their fan base, and maybe this brings in some extra fans with kind of the NASCAR crossover. But it's interesting. I guess one thing I would note is Nashville is a popular possibility for expansion, and this is in Bristol. It can't be too far from there. So yeah, maybe they're drawing from some of that fan base, and I don't know if that'll have any influence on when they eventually do decide which teams get to which cities will get new teams to join the majors. But that's coming down the road in a few years.
We almost had history last night in Arlington with Framber Valdez 1 out away from throwing his second career no-hitter. And considering Ronel Blanco already did one and almost had a second, a lot of no-nos for the Astros. But unfortunately, Corey Seager hit a 2-out, 2-run bomb to end the no-hitter. Hader finishes the inning. And you look at the Astros, who still hung on to get the victory. Man, I'll tell you this much. When you are a pitcher going that deep into a game, that close to making history, only to have it not only give up serving up a hit, but it being a 2-run homer, that's really tough if you're an Astros fan.
I think it would probably be tougher for Framber if he didn't already have a no-hitter in the bank. He had Ronel Blanco and Christian Javier all have no-hitters. I guess it's 2 partial ones for Javier, but they've had no shortage of great moments on that staff. But here's something really funny. I only realized this after seeing a tweet about it from Sarah Langs of MLB.com. Corey Seager is one of the few players, maybe the only one, to break up two no-hitters with 2 outs in the ninth. The other time he did it was on August 25th, 2016, and I know this because my wife and I listened to the game in a waiting room. We were waiting to get admitted to the hospital because she had started going into labor with our daughter. So it was Matt Moore for the Giants, and he came within 1 out, and we were listening to Vin Scully, and Corey Seager broke it up. And if I remember correctly, the Giants still hung on to win, but that was a memorable experience, more for me than for my wife, I think. She had other things on her mind.
I was going to say, that is a wild piece of anecdotal trivia you just dropped on us on the program right now. You would think that when your wife goes into labor, Jay, that the first thing you would think about is, man, oh man, it's coming, it's happening. But the fact that you were like, hey, I'm going to put Vin on and see how things are going with this no-no is that's a great story. I would love to hear Emma's version of that story.
Well, it's like we watch every time you watch TV and somebody's, the woman's breaks and she goes into labor, you think the baby's going to happen. They show the baby happening in like 5 minutes. This was 24 hours before the baby. So it was a very long and slow labor. So there was, we're waiting just to get a hospital room, and we didn't even get one that night. I got sent home to get some sleep while Emma slept in a waiting room, and it was a total fiasco. It seemed like every mom, every pregnant woman in Brooklyn was trying to give birth that night.
Oh, man. Jay Jaffe with us here on Sports Talk as we continue. All right, piece of trivia for you. Last pitcher prior to last night to have a no-hitter with 2 outs in the ninth, only to lose it by giving up a home run. Do you know who that is?
I'm sure I saw this go by on Twitter, and I've already forgotten.
The late, great Roy Halladay, who back in September of 98, in his second career big league start, came within 1 out.
That's right. And he eventually did get not one but 2 no-hitters, including the second postseason no-hitter in history.
That's right.
So he did all right.
Yes, he did. That is so true. But good little piece of trivia there as we continue right now with Jay Jaffe from Fangraphs.com. Now, the Yankees have a half-game lead over the Orioles. Fun race to watch, especially with what's going on right now. Yanks are up after 7, 5-2 in a doubleheader at the stadium, making up yesterday's rainout. Grayson Rodriguez goes on the IL as well with a lat strain. So I guess if you're the Yankees, considering the surge they've been able to get from now healthy Garrett Cole and Jazz Chisholm, they look like a different team than they were a few weeks ago when everybody was pushing the panic button.
Yeah, they've beaten some good teams in the last couple of weeks, and they've started to, I think, show some signs of pulling out of that slump. I mean, it's not, it's sometimes it doesn't feel like it's over, but they've won 7 out of 8 here. Took series from Boston, swept Philly. Both of those were on the road, and then took 2 out of 3 from Toronto. I was supposed to be at last night's game, but the rain was so heavy that they canceled it before we could even start to pack ourselves to go. So I ended up just getting drinks with a baseball friend who I was supposed to go with. And today's doubleheader, or last night's tickets weren't even valid for today, but it looked like it was going to be a soggy day anyway, and I had work to do, so I didn't even bother. But good to know that the Yankees are winning there. They really do need to get as much out of playing these weak teams like the Angels and upcoming the Rangers and the White Sox and the Tigers, because they're going to have a tough stretch run later on when they play the Orioles and Red Sox again.
So you're saying that if you wanted to go to the game today and you had tickets last night, they don't allow you to use those for the makeup game today?
No, you had to trade it in for something else. I'm not sure why that was, but that's the way it worked for this one.
Okay.
I think there was some special promotion regarding bringing kids from camps today, and that was complicating matters. But I haven't done the full research on it. I just know that once they told us our tickets weren't valid, I was like, okay, that's fine.
All I know is this: if you were actually going to the first game today at 4:00 New York time, there was probably nobody in Yankee Stadium to watch that first game. So.
Yeah, those sometimes feel like there's about 3,000 people there, maybe maximum.
That's right. All right, last beer pick of the week before you go on vacation. Which one you want to profile for our listeners this week, Jay?
Okay, this was one that I had last night at an old favorite bar called Dram Shop in Brooklyn. This is the Ebbs Pilsner, number 2, I believe it is, 4.5% ABV. Ebbs is actually, the brewery is at Citi Field, although you can't get to it from inside Citi Field. I think you have to be on the outside. Very good German and Japanese style Pilsner. It's kind of a cross between the two. Light, easy drinking, good session beer. Unfortunately, the satellite dish caught up on some shop talk within the industry, a friend of mine, and good times.
Sounds great. Listen, enjoy the vacay, Jay. We'll check back in with you here in a couple of weeks, and as always, appreciate the conversation.
All right. Thanks a lot, Steve. Take care.
Jay Jaffe, folks. You can follow him on Twitter and X at J_Jaffe. Check out his work at Fangraphs.com. All right, we'll come back. 19 in front of 5. We've got to... All right, 49 past the hour as we continue here on Sports Talk. Enrique Ortiz with a pretty good tweet on Twitter and X. Rumor news in all caps. A friend of mine who has connections in AAA baseball said MILB may introduce interleague play as soon as 2025. Red Sox and Yankee fans may see them play in our hometown. Now, this is a very good story, Enrique. It's a good rumor, and I have inquired. So this is not a rumor. This probably will be happening, but it's just not here, not next year. Story goes that MLB is kind of experimenting right now with some AAA cities in both leagues that offer direct flights between each other. So
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. But unfortunately, there's no team in the International League where you can hop on a direct flight and get to El Paso.
Yeah, you're not going to Durham and playing the Durham Bulls on a direct flight, unfortunately, Steve.
No.
You're not playing, Scranton. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Scott Paper Company over there. Sorry.
No, I was thinking about what cities offer direct flights to El Paso from outside the PCL. Chicago, but what minor league AAA city is near Chicago? None is the answer to that question, unfortunately.
I feel like you have to actually hit the flight tracker and see like the most random cities that El Paso actually goes to to try to find, partners or pairs for this.
That's right, because the truth is most of the direct flights are already in the PCL. That's pretty much the way it goes.
And I was thinking to myself, and you'd have to hope they're AAA and PCL, exactly. So
what I hope, though, is that if this goes well and it's a hit with fans, then maybe Major League Baseball allows, teams with takes 2 flights instead of 1 direct to get a chance to be a part of this too. Because it really would be cool if every town had the opportunity to play some interleague games.
That would be really neat.
Well,
I love the idea about all of these Yankee jerseys or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. If you're a fan of baseball, bringing your jersey out to the ballpark like that,
especially with the news today that dropped, where we get to see the upcoming schedule, right, for 2025 for home games for the Chihuahuas. And I was looking through it just to see. So check this out. El Paso plays the following teams twice. Albuquerque, 2 homestands against the Isotopes. That's the Rockies AAA affiliate. The Vegas Aviators twice. That's 2 homestands against the Oakland A's AAA affiliate. They also will play the Sugarland Space Cowboys twice. That's the affiliate of the Houston Astros. And then we're also going to see, I think if that's it, we've got the Astros twice, the Rockies twice, the Mariners twice, and the A's twice. Only 3 games against Salt Lake. That's going to open up the weekend of the 28th to the 30th of next month, Friday to Sunday. That's the Angels AAA affiliate. Only once against the Giants. That's the Sacramento River Cats. That'll be in late April. Only once against the Texas Rangers AAA affiliate, the Round Rock Express. I'm bummed about that. Listen, no offense to Vegas and Tacoma, but I would really like to see every year Round Rock and Sugarland should play 2 homestands against the Chihuahuas. There's no reason why the Rangers and Astros shouldn't have their teams here twice every year.
Yeah, it's the Texas connection, man. I mean, especially, the fans' perspective is huge. You also talk about just the geographical sense that it makes. I don't understand why this can't be the case for more series.
Reno's only here for 6 games in mid-June. That's the Diamondbacks affiliate. Maybe next year we'll get a chance to see Ivan Melendez against the Chihuahuas in the middle of June. That would be fun. And unfortunately, Dodgers fans, there's only one 6-game set with Oklahoma City next year, and that's going to be in the second week of August, the 5th to the 10th. So, again, I mean, you think about it, and Mariners twice, A's twice, and my first reaction is, really? Do we have to? Can't we swap those out for some other teams that fans around here are more excited about?
Yeah, I mean, the only bright side with the A's is maybe we get a little Darryl Hernandez on here at Southwest University Park.
I hope Hernandez is in the bigs. He's back. Hopefully he gets a chance to be back with Oakland next year. I mean, and that's the truth. I love Darryl. He's a great kid, but we want to see him up in the big leagues. We don't want to see him in Vegas.
True. That's right. We don't want him ever to go back to AAA or anything like that.
No, we don't. But I do think Melendez has a legit shot to be here next June when Reno comes, because he's still in AA right now, hasn't been called up yet. He's having his usual kind of season, close to 20 home runs, 250 batting average. So maybe we'll get to see the Hispanic Titanic for the first time as a minor leaguer in El Paso next summer.
Yeah, I was reading something around late May and early June, Steve, that was talking about him kind of being in a bit of a slump, but he's picked it back up since, and it's kind of peaks and valleys when you're a power hitter like that. Is there any way to find consistency when you're a power hitter like that, or you just have to hope that your consistency hangs in with the best of them?
No, when you're a power hitter, you just gotta, you don't want to sacrifice power to get on base more, but the key is you also don't want to strike out a ton either. And with Ivan, he's still striking out about 1 out of 3 at bats. And that's difficult because if he can cut those strikeout totals down a little bit and instead of hitting 250, hit 280, 290, you're probably looking at somebody that's got a much faster track to the big leagues.
Oh, 100%. I feel like with him just getting another year into the system, I mean, who knows? Maybe we're talking about another breakout season by Ivan Melendez next year, the way that we did last year when he moved up from, low A to double A, right?
Good point. It's true. Very true. All right, 1 down, 1 to go. Looking forward to spending the next hour with you as Sports Talk continues right here from our 600 ESPN El Paso River Oaks Properties Schoolyard Sports Studios on 600 ESPN El Paso. Joe will be on the program, the Director of Athletics, Payne Andrus, who is the assistant basketball coach at New Mexico State. Our good pal Adam Young will kick us off at 4 o'clock, the New Mexico State broadcaster who has been on this program numerous times over the years, and again, just a good friend of the show. Matthew Hector will be there from Tepazon Tequila, and Dylan Nunn from Elephant Ranch Bar. That's going to be happening tomorrow. If you are in the area, come down and see us. We're excited about that. By the way, do you know who Dylan Nunn's dad is?
Who?
Tico Nunn.
Who's
Tico Nunn?
No, I'm sorry.
He owns Sparky's Burgers out there in Hatch.
Wow, now we're talking, Steve. I love it.
Yep.
I love that.
So Tico's son, Dylan, is he runs the Elephant Ranch Bar, and apparently it's one of those rare places in Las Cruces where you can not only order drinks, but then you can buy bottles and take them home with you afterwards, which is really cool.
Man, what a family right there. From Sparky's to this.
I know. It is going to be fantastic. So, I'll just tell you this much. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, boy, it's good stuff. In fact, we've got our lineup tomorrow. Mario Mocha will join us at 5. Adam Young at 4, and in between all of our other guests, we'll talk a little NMSU hoops. Football apparently will be practicing during the show tomorrow, so Adam, who has watched practice, will join us and kind of give us an idea of what to expect when the Aggies take the field here in a few weeks.
Yeah, I really don't know about this team at all, Steve, so we're going to have to lean on our pal Adam in a big way. There's a lot of new, obviously. There's insane roster turnover. We talked about 60-plus newcomers for UTEP football with Scotty Walden joining their team as their new head coach. Well, what about over there with Coach Sanchez having to take over from Coach Kill last year, who basically had one of the best NMSU runs you're ever going to find in football program history?
That's right. Plus, the basketball team only has like 3 guys back from last year. So Jason Hooten has an all-new team coming this season. So we got a lot to cover, because I'll be honest with you, you're right. We have no knowledge of New Mexico State. We got enough trying to figure things out here at UTEP, let alone what's going on up the road. So at least for us, we'll get a good education and know what to expect when football season starts in Cruces and basketball season later this year.
Yeah, can you just think about it? I mean, UTEP's got their quarterback situation going on right now, but we kind of know the guys. They threw a Jake McNamara as kind of like a wrench in this whole conversation out at New Mexico State to battle up against the Kentucky transfer and everybody else who's in that quarterback room. So I'm curious how that battle is progressing and what we see from there. They've got talented players. I mean, I like the running back. I like some of their offensive linemen out at New Mexico State, and they have a really strong linebacker as well. But I'm still concerned about this roster because of all the turnover they had and because of basically the Aggies going over to Vanderbilt and all taking over that Vanderbilt program.
I heard earlier this week Jake's got a shot because that quarterback battle is wide open because of the loss from last season. I mean, think about it. They were relying on one guy who is no longer there, and they haven't really given anybody else an opportunity to play. So there is wide open battles going on for QB.
I feel like that's going to be the biggest talking point for them. They have some experience at the wide receiver position. They have depth at the line, their offensive front. But when you lose that many people, and you lose a guy like Diego Pavia, who's just such a leader for them. I mean, he had the moxie, he had the swagger. You're not going to replicate that in this region. Forget just New Mexico State and UTEP and all that. In this entire region, you're not going to replicate that at the Group of 5 level to get a player as special as that. He was undersized. He had a lot of limitations when he came into the mix, but Pavia took over that quarterback job and really had an identity with that offense.
Elephant Ranch, by the way, is 3995 West Picacho Avenue. So that's where we will be tomorrow for Sports Talk Live for 2 hours from 4 to 6 o'clock. And again, excited about that. If you live in Cruces, come on by. If you live in El Paso and you want to just check out the live show because it's one of those rare opportunities we get to go to Cruces, come join us as well. We'd love to have you be a part of things.
We have a lot of Cruces callers, Steve. Over the years, we've had our pal Victor who called in daily about, when New Mexico State had some different news and breaking news on a daily basis. We have a lot of great friends out in Las Cruces, too, so it'd be great to see some of those people stop by, say hi, and visit with us.
I haven't heard from Victor it's got to be now like 8 or 9 months. I hope he's still around.
Yeah, hopefully he's okay.
I mean, seriously, we never know. That's one of the weird things about our regulars is that when they just drop off and then pop back in, hopefully everything's all right.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We have others from Cruces and stuff like that. We have Gabe out in Las Cruces. He gives us a call from time to time as well. Other names are blanking me right now, but nonetheless, it's cool to have that connection out in Las Cruces, and it'll be a lot of fun to be out there.
Adrian, this place advertises themselves as the best beer garden in southern New Mexico, and then it also says cold drinks, good company. I feel like we're going to be right at home with the broadcast tomorrow.
Man, I'm so excited about all of this. And you know what I have to do is I have to bring my New Mexico State hat. I've been rocking it lately, Steve. I love that one that Mario Mocha hooked us up with not too long ago, that trucker hat, the tan one. So I think I got to bring that one out for this event.
All right. Do you own a polo?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Wait, New Mexico State polo?
Yes.
No, I don't.
Maybe
I need one.
You want me to change that?
Yes. I need one.
What do you? You go large?
Yeah, I go large.
All right. I'll send a quick text, and we'll make sure that that happens for you as well tomorrow too.
Wow.
So there
okay.
we go. All right. We're gonna. Hey, you got to dress the part if you're going to be out there, right?
That's right.
That's just the way it is. 505-6009. That is our telephone number. 505-6009. As we continue here on the program. So again. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to, I'll be honest with you, I can't wait to start watching some exhibition football. That's something that I'm ready for right now. We've got games starting tomorrow night. Here are your games. Panthers-Patriots from Foxborough. Lions-Giants from East Rutherford. So those are the two games tomorrow. And I believe the NFL Network will have the Panthers-Pats, not the Lions-Giants game. Then Friday, we have 3 more games. Falcons-Dolphins, that's from Hard Rock Stadium. That's also going to be on NFL Plus is going to have. What is NFL Plus?
That's the one where if you subscribe to it, Steve, you get to watch like full game highlights. I don't think they actually have any kind of live coverage during the actual season, but it is an extension of the NFL Network.
Okay, so maybe the great thing about NFL Plus is preseason games you get to enjoy, right?
Yeah, that's
something like that.
Good thing right there. And I like the recaps. I like their highlights after the fact.
Texans Steelers will be on NFL Network tomorrow on Friday. That's going to be the 5 o'clock game. And then Eagles Ravens. So those are your 3 games on Friday. And then Saturday, here we go. We got a lot of games Saturday. Commanders Jets. That'll be 10 a.m. from MetLife. They're playing a 10 a.m. game on Saturday?
Man. That's got to be, 8 o'clock local time kickoff?
No, it'll be noon in New York,
okay,
10 o'clock here. But
yeah, true.
I've never heard of noon games on weekends before, so that's interesting.
That is interesting. I mean, I thought they would do a lot of these primetime games because of the excitement, the allure for all of this, so surprising.
NFL Network will have Bears-Bills. That's going to be on at 11 here. That's the NFL Network game. They also are going to have the Raiders-Vikings at 2 o'clock. That'll be the second game of their doubleheader. Packers play the Browns at 2:25. Bucks have the Bengals at 5 o'clock. 49ers-Titans at 5. Chiefs-Jags. That'll be the NFL Network game at 5. Then you've got the Seahawks-Chargers at 5:05. And the Saints-Cardinals will be the 6 o'clock game. Those are it for Saturday. Sunday, just 2 games. Broncos-Colts. That's going to be on the NFL Network at 11. And then at 2:30 on Sunday, Cowboys-Rams. That's going to be on the NFL Network as well from SoFi. So that's our first week of NFL football. And don't forget, this Sunday, our Dallas Cowboys coverage will start on 95.5 KLAQ, your home for Cowboys radio, beginning with that Cowboys-Rams game in the pregame show at 1:30.
Yeah, it's just great to know that football is coming back. I'm going to be tuning into all these games, even the Steelers, of course, and I'm really just looking forward to all these rookie quarterbacks that are going to be getting some playing time. We're going to see Caleb Williams here in a couple days. He's going to be making his preseason debut, even though if it's not for a full quarter or just one drive, it's still going to be good to see what they can do and what we could potentially see this upcoming season.
I just drafted Bo Nix today in a dynasty
you got
league.
him. You got
I
him.
did. I mean, you tell me, guys, is this a decision I'm going to regret in a few years, or is this a decision that I'm going to be very happy with since he doesn't really have a lot blocking him in Denver? I just wonder if Bo Nix will be a franchise-type quarterback for the Broncos.
I just feel like you take a shot with quarterbacks, Steve, and don't. It's like 60% of them. 60% bust rate all across, the NFL for quarterbacks go. As far as quarterbacks go, you could have taken somebody else like Michael Penix. You chose Bo Nix.
I could have.
I feel like it's a coin flip with all these decisions, whether it's Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix or even Caleb Williams. There's no surefires anymore at the quarterback spot.
The only reason I like Nix over Penix is if I took Penix, I would probably not know if he could even play until 3 or 4 years down the road. Whereas at least with Bo Nix, by the time Penix gets a chance out there, with the Falcons, I'll already know if Bo Nix is going to be a franchise QB or a bust. That's the only advantage. I'm impatient. I don't have 3 years to just sit back, relax, keep my rookies on the taxi squad in these leagues, and wait to see if they pan out or not. I need to know quickly if these guys are going to be booms or busts.
Absolutely, especially fantasy-wise. Bo Nix is probably the best bet out of those two. But I'm really curious to see, going back to Michael Penix here, what happens with his future in Atlanta. Atlanta, not many expected them to take a quarterback with the 8th overall pick. A guy like Dallas Turner or Laiatu Latu was an expected pick there, given their need at edge rusher. But I'm really curious to see when Penix is going to play and how that's going to work out. General Manager Terry Fontenot really put his job on the line here with that pick.
Well, we'll see. You're right. But did he? Because Michael, he might not actually play for 2 to 3 years. So doesn't it almost seem like he bought himself some time as GM? Because you know that you've got Kirk Cousins for the short term and Penix for the long term, which means by the time you realize if Penix is good or not, it could be 4 to 5 years from now. And by then, well, he's already had 4 to 5 years to be GM of the Falcons.
4 to 5 years, and at the same time, though, Penix is 24, guys. So how much?
That's true.
So how much longer is Penix? Does he need to sit on the bench? Because Kirk Cousins, is coming off a torn Achilles. So I get the idea behind the pick, but I don't know if Penix is necessarily the guy I would have gone with because I still think Kirk Cousins has got some good football left in him. He's one of the best play action quarterbacks in this league, and I think he's going to do good things with the weaponry he's got in Atlanta. But I'm just concerned about Penix. Given the injury history, the fact that he's already 24. I just don't know if this is going to work out, Steve. And if he starts later than sooner, this could be an absolute disaster for Atlanta.
Great point. There are quarterbacks that are 24 that have already been in the league 3-4 years. So that's a good way to look at it. So you're right. Okay. When we come back, Dallas Cowboys fans, I want to ask you about the worst losses in Cowboys history. I was thinking about this earlier today, and I'm not talking about blowout losses. I'm talking about losses that just really hurt as a Cowboys fan. Are there some that really stick out to you more than others? I'll start. The catch with Dwight Clark in '82 kept Dallas from going to the Super Bowl. And then you look at some of those playoff losses, like Romo's rookie season when he fumbles the snap on what should have been the game-winning field goal in a rainy game in Seattle. That's just a start. There's also plenty more, including did Dedge catch the ball against Green Bay? Hey, I'll ask all of you out there, and we can even go further back in time, though. As Cowboys fans, what losses have stung the most over the years as a Dallas Cowboys fan? 505-6009, our telephone number. We got lines available. Would love to hear from you as we continue with Charlie 1 and this traffic update. Back on Sports Talk, 21 past the hour as we continue. 505-6009, Twitter and X at 600 ESPN El Paso, and, of course, our free app to download and listen to the show in real time and also chat with us. So now that football season is here, and I always like to bring up topics like this. This is what I've never really talked about in all the years on the show, and that is the painful history for the Cowboys. Forget the last 28 years without a trip to the Super Bowl. That's not the point on this one. I'm more interested in, over the years, the losses that really, really hurt. The games that Cowboy fans will never forget, and the games that throughout the years, it will always be something they will think about. And, I brought up a couple of examples. And they're recent examples. They really are. Although 1982 is not recent. That's 42 years ago. That's the catch. But understand that, if Dwight Clark does not do what he did and the Cowboys end up winning that game, they're in the Super Bowl. They could have won the 82 Super Bowl that year. That could have easily been for them the opportunity to win instead of San Francisco. And who knows, if Joe Montana does not engineer that drive, is history the same after that? Does he even have the kind of career that he ended up with if he doesn't have the team that he takes all the way that season? We don't know the answer to that question. What we do know is Dallas was that close to getting back with Danny White until that play changed the course of that whole decade for America's team.
My dad will always remind me that for that game, that was the Super Bowl. He was, in his eyes, he was like, those are by far the best teams. And sometimes that happens, Steve, where you have the AFC having the two best teams out there, and the Super Bowl is an actual slog. It's just hard to watch, and everybody's getting hyped up for that big one, but it doesn't really matter. It's sometimes won in a conference title game, and maybe that was the case right there. Maybe that was kind of a de facto Super Bowl right there, where the Cowboys just fell short in such a close game.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But there are others. There are other games as of recently. We can look at a lot of games that the Cowboys either had opportunity after opportunity, just couldn't win, and again have put fans in a state of mind where they're just they have a really hard time with it. Really hard time.
To put Cowboys fans' heads in a blender real quick, just go back to the 2023 playoffs in the postseason run, right? I mean, This was a tough loss that they had to the Packers.
You're right. That was a tough loss. But the truth is, they really were never in that game. That's the one thing we'll say. I mean, that hurts because you get back after a great regular season only to exit early, but it wasn't like they had that game and had it pulled out from under them the way they did in that rainy game against Seattle when Romo comes in. And they're right there. Parcells was coach. It was Romo's first season. And just think about it. It's rainy and slippery, and he bobbles the snap. They don't get a chance to kick that, what would have been the game winner. And after 60 minutes of football, that a play like that sends you home. Those are the kind of games I'm talking about. The ones that Cowboy fans will never forget.
It's interesting because some fans will say, well, hey, it was a close competitive game, For me personally, I'd rather get blown out and know you're going to lose as a fan versus actually a close game and then it being snatched away at the final moments. But, that my point to the bringing up the Packers game, Steve, was thinking about, hey, at one point it could have been the largest postseason loss by the Cowboys. They were losing at one point by 32 points in that game, which actually brings me to one of them that was a blowout, and going back to the 70s. Maybe some of our listeners will remember this one. A 26-3 loss at Washington in the conference championship round. Having a chance to go to the Super Bowl that year, but couldn't do it, and against the rivals in Washington in the early 70s.
Another good point. All right, let's get right back to it as we continue. Pinky's going to join us, and maybe there are certain bad losses as a Cowboys fan he'll never forget. Pinky, thanks for the call. What are some of the most memorable defeats that to this day still bother you as a Cowboys fan?
To start off, all the playoff games in the 60s when they used to play the Browns like every first round, and Paul Warfield and Leroy Kelly and all those running backs would beat the Cowboys. Those really hurt because, the franchise was just starting up about the fifth or sixth year that was in existence. Those hurt a lot, especially at my house because there were a bunch of the Cowboy fans with the only color TV along our block, so it was full. But the one that really bothers me is the 1971 Super Bowl against the Baltimore Colts. They lost 16-13. The first Super Bowl appearance for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
They have a chance to win. We're all excited. I mean, all the area was very excited. But the thing about it is when they lost the game, the guy at the field goal to beat the Cowboys was from El Paso. He went to Urban High School, Jim O'Brien.
Oh, wow. That's a wild story. That reminds me of the time when, and I'm happy you brought that up, because there's another, there's some other games where I start thinking about, the Cowboys losing to players with El Paso connections and how difficult, and that's funny because that's also happened before, and it's not just him. There are others that have done that same thing. So, yeah, that's a great point. And you think recently, of course, Aaron Jones, who owns the Dallas Cowboys throughout his career, and that'd be another one. But there's others that have been, beating the Cowboys over the years with connections to this city. So. That's a good storyline. John Skelton is a great example. John, about 10 years ago, beat the Cowboys on Monday Night Football.
Yep, you're right.
And by the way,
there's so many.
You brought up a great point. By the way, Cowboys beat the Browns in the '67 playoffs in the divisional round, only to lose to the Packers that year in the Ice Bowl. But also in '68 and '69, Dallas lost to Cleveland in back-to-back playoff years in the divisional round.
Yeah, I remember those games distinctly because I remember Paul Warfield, Leroy Kelly, Frank Ryan, and the other running back. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Jim Brown. Yeah. It was another running back that was very fast. That was for the Cleveland Browns, and they just killed the Cowboys. Warfield just killed them really bad.
Wow.
But I remember that. But the first Super Bowl it hurts because we were ready to celebrate like crazy. I was a senior in high school. We were ready to go the next day to the school and celebrate with everybody. And wow, we flat on our face. Their offense looked terrible. Baltimore Colts defense just stopped the Cowboys literally.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about Super Bowl V, what you're talking about. I think that was the Super Bowl V was the 16-13 loss to Baltimore after they had beat Detroit and San Francisco to set themselves up for that Super Bowl in Super Bowl V. So,
if I'm correct, that's the game they beat San Francisco where they were behind by 2 touchdowns with about 6 minutes left, and Roger Staubach, I think, scored 3 touchdowns in the last minutes.
Yeah,
and they had an onside kick, and that's how they won the game.
By the way, the reason I love that call, he doesn't go with the recent games. He goes with playoff losses to Cleveland in 68 and 69. He goes to that, some of those other losses like losing Super Bowl V to Baltimore because Pinky's a little older. And as a Cowboys fan, his tough losses go back to his younger years.
Before they even built the legacy.
That's right.
When they were trying to quest for the Super Bowl for the first time and, second and third. But it's interesting that 38-14 loss that he brought up, a 24-point loss by the Cowboys Cowboys in the divisional round against the Browns 1969. That was their third worst playoff loss in history.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And before they listen, and this is also a good point to bring up. They beat the Dolphins in the Super Bowl the year after they lost to the Colts, and that was their first Super Bowl win. But then the next 2 years, they lose to Washington 26-3 in the conference championship, and Minnesota beats them 27-10 in the conference championship. So think about how good the Cowboys were in the early 70s, but how they really only had one Super Bowl to show for it. At least that was that Dolphins win, and you got to go all the way to when they beat Denver in the Super Bowl in '78 to get that second W.
You think about all-time greats on those teams in the '70s. Roger Staubach leading the way, Steve. For you, and you had one of the arguably greatest coaches to coach in the sport, in Tom Landry, in that era too. So interesting that only one Super Bowl to show for it.
Cowboys all-time in the playoffs. 36-31, okay? 5 games over 500. Conference championships, 8-8 in 16 games. In their 8 Super Bowls, the Cowboys are 5-3. So that's important to note. Divisional round, 15-13. Wild card round, 8-7. It almost sounds like they're 500 in every round that they've played over the years other than the Super Bowl.
So this tells you that if you're Vegas or anything like that, just flip a coin when it comes to the Cowboys in the postseason.
But also realize this, Dallas has been so bad in the playoffs the last 30 years that a lot of these losses have started to add up. They were not nearly they had a much better record overall in the playoffs up until the mid-'90s once their Super Bowl reigns came to an end.
That's why games like the Des Cottet game just rings so true and hard for some of those fans, because they feel like, man, you have it. You're finally getting over the hump of the postseason blues if you're the Cowboys, and you have this team who has an opportunity to get all the way to the Super Bowl, and you're unable to do it because of things like that.
They're 5-13 since their last Super Bowl win in the playoffs. That's all you need to know. 5-13. So
wow, that's tough.
Yeah. Let's go to Michael Plundo. He's standing by. One last bottom of the hour Sports Center updates next.
Michael Plundo back here with your bottom of the hour ESPN Sports Center update. Let's get to it. As Texas running back C.J. Baxter suffered a knee injury in practice on Tuesday that will require season-ending surgery, the school announced. Tough loss for the Longhorns here. While his loss is a big one, the Longhorns do have depth at running back. Both Baxter and Jaden Blue were expected to share carries, and both were named this week to the Doak Walker Award watch list, honoring the nation's best running back. Let's get out to your baseball scoreboard here. We got a plethora of games to go over here, as the Padres and Pirates out in PNC Park, 2 teams that are fighting for an NL wildcard spot. The Pirates currently lead the Padres by a score of 3-1 in the bottom third with 1 out and 1 runner on first base. The Reds, Ellie De La Cruz, who has 8 hits in his last 2 games here, the Reds currently struggling to the Marlins right now, as the Marlins are up 5-0 in the bottom of the third out in Miami. And the Giants and the Nationals, this game out in Washington, the Giants jumping out to an early 2-0 lead, as Blake Snell is the starting pitcher for the Giants, coming off a game where he threw a no-hitter. And the Orioles and the Blue Jays, 2 teams that have been going at it and are fighting for a wild card spot here as well. The Orioles with a 2-1 lead over the Blue Jays after 1 inning there. That game will be a close one there. And this game just getting underway out here in Atlanta, as the Brewers and the Braves are scoreless through 1 inning. And a doubleheader here we had earlier in Cleveland between the Diamondbacks and the Guardians. The Diamondbacks were able to grab the first one 7-3, and the second one as well by a score of 5-3. Another doubleheader as well between the Yankees and the Angels. The Yankees able to grab the first one 5-2, and the second one will be made here shortly. That's a look at your ESPN Sports Center update. I'm Michael Plum.
Thank you, Michael. 35 past the hour as we continue here on Sports Talk. So, yeah, you look at the Cowboys recently, and there's been much more heartache than celebration. In fact, Dallas has not advanced past the divisional round since their last Super Bowl win. They have not played in a conference championship, gentlemen, since their victory over the Steelers. That is also something to note. They have only gotten to the divisional round, And they've been to the divisional round. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. 7 times in the last 29 years. That's as far as they've been able to get.
That sounds like UTEP football numbers as far as trying to get to postseason play as well. Like, I feel like we've talked about this a lot on this show, but Cowboy fans and UTEP football fans can sympathize with each other for at least just the past 3 decades on the football side of things struggling.
Just imagine that if you are less than 28 years old and you spent your whole life as a Dallas Cowboys fan, you've never seen a Super Bowl, let alone a Super Bowl win, let alone a trip to the conference championship game. That's what's so crazy. Let me put this another way. This is another question for you, okay? Are the Dallas Cowboys still America's team?
I think no.
I mean, it's been almost 30 years. So I know that they've been branded America's team since the 70s, but, and I'll even ask Cowboys fans this question, okay? 505-6009 if you want to weigh in. Are the Cowboys right now still America's team? Do you feel good about that? Or is it one of those weird feelings where you almost say you can't call them America's team anymore because they're not as, they're still polarizing. Jerry's franchise is worth more than any sports franchise in history. Maybe that makes it America's team. Maybe even with their lack of wins in the playoffs in the last 30 years, just the brand, the image, what this team is all about, maybe that is why they don't even need victories to be considered America's team.
For me, it's not only just America's team. I think it's America's team in every sport. Like, I think it's the number one brand. It's the number one logo that you're going to find maybe internationally that everybody recognizes. That's the star. That means football. That means the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think it makes them the most popular team, or maybe if they are, popularity can go multiple ways. Man, I hate to watch them lose. I hate all this stuff. But I'll tell you, if this doesn't work out, and I'm talking about this team 2024, they don't have Dak. They don't have McCarthy after this season. They move on from both of them, and they bring like a Bill Belichick in. Oh my goodness! Or if they make it all the way to the top with this current nucleus and they go to the Super Bowl, can you just imagine what this show would be like? What every show would be like across America? Just talking about the Cowboys being at the top, and I think that has to do a lot to do with their brand.
But don't you also think that Cowboys fans are so I don't want to say superstitious, but they're so worried about getting excited because they've been disappointed so many times over the years, they're afraid to buy into it. I don't blame them. I'd be afraid, too, if I'm a Cowboys fan. Because how many times will you see them have great regular seasons only to vanish early in the playoffs? So even if this team wins 12, 13 regular season games and steamrolls through into the postseason, Cowboys fans might not even be able to enjoy anything until they've seen their team get as far as a Super Bowl or something along those lines because it's been so long. You almost feel like Cowboys fans will have that mentality of saying, this can't last forever. When is reality going to set in? That seems to be the way that they have to look at things.
Yeah, I feel like with the Cowboys fans, they're jaded for sure, man. And especially with Dak. You just talk about Dak playing in big games. I feel like Cowboy fans, it hurts them to even watch versus not watch.
I agree with you. Let's go to Chuco. He's with us next, 21 past the hour. Chuco, how are you?
I'm good, but you're bringing up heartbreak memories, man.
Sorry about that, Chuco, but it's reality. It's crazy. It's the fact that this franchise has struggled as much as it has over the last 28, 29 seasons, it blows me away. Until you start looking at the numbers and realize it. I mean, Chuco, you were probably around long before their last Super Bowl win. I know I was, but the guys in the studio with me weren't, and that's the crazy thing. That's the hard part to realize right now.
Yeah, I was in high school during the 90s run, so, I was blessed to have actually seen them win. But, my heartbreak playoff losses, because Tony Romo has by far been my favorite quarterback.
Okay.
And when he fumbled that field goal snap in 2006, and then the other one that comes to mind is the Dez Bryant catch that was overruled during the Green Bay loss. those two in Romo's tenure, those are just, those bring back such bad memories.
I don't blame you. By the way, the game you're talking about, I believe, was the divisional round loss 26-21 in January of 2015. So, yeah, that's, did Dez catch the ball? And most of us, my answer is still to this day, of course he caught the ball. I felt like they almost had to create rules to try to take away great plays like that.
Yeah, I don't think, the rule that he didn't catch it, I don't think that existed. So
no.
They just found a way to take it away. Yeah.
100%. Well, Chuco, maybe this will be a different year. That's for sure. Now, let me ask you this. As somebody who was in high school in the 90s, experienced the wins, but for you, what has been like the worst loss you've had to deal with as a Cowboys fan? Was it the Romo game in the rain against the Seahawks, or was there another one?
No, it was the Romo game against the Seahawks. That one has to be by far. I mean, we were that close. And even when he fumbled the snap, he got it back and almost ran it in.
Yeah.
He was stopped, I think, at the 1 yard line. So he had two opportunities to win them the game, and both were miserable failures.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, you think about it, he didn't play bad. One touchdown, no interceptions. That was one of those games where, you wish you could have another shot at it. You really could. But, yeah, that's
where I feel
tough.
Bad about his career. I mean, unfortunately, he's going to be remembered as, he had amazing stats, but those don't automatically get you into the Super Bowl or a playoff win. So he'll have to live with that for the rest of his life. Along
those lines, just imagine if the Cowboys beat the 49ers in the 81 conference championship game in San Francisco instead of losing 28-27. And what people don't realize about that game was Danny White took the Cowboys down the field and scored what was the go-ahead touchdown with just a couple of minutes left to go in the fourth quarter until Clark's touchdown from Montana won the game.
So I was in kindergarten for that game, and I don't really remember much. I remember my uncles and my dad were all pretty pissed off. But, the Romo ones will definitely stick out the most.
Appreciate you, Chuco. Thanks for the call. Thanks for reminiscing with us on what obviously painful memories for you and for Cowboys fans out there. 43 past the hour as we continue. From losses in the 60s and 70s to losses in the 90s. A couple of callers kind of spanned the decades for Cowboy fans. That's for sure. We'll come back. Tim Haggerty next. Final countdown as we wrap it up with you. 600 ESPN El Paso.